Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great pleasure for me to introduce our speakers today. Cheng, CEO and broker of record from Cornerstone Marketing Realty, and Shab Rajabzadeh, President, Cornerstone Marketing Realty. And their great teams are here to provide more information about new market outlook in pre-construction during 2020. Cornerstone Marketing Realty is spanning over 2 decades of experience in the local and international real estate markets. Cornerstone Realty has built a strong foundation offering full service of consulting to multiple premium developers, having successfully launched many notable projects in GTA such as Lake and Town, Mobilio Condos, Sugar Wolf by Menkeys, Express Condo, Zen Condo, and other projects. Without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Johnson, Cheng, and Shab Rajabzadeh. Johnson, welcome.
Hamid, thank you very much. Welcome for this opportunity. And thank you very much. It's a great platform for us to be able to share with you some of our insights as to what we've seen. I think top of mind is that if in the context of the COVID-19, what is happening in the industry? Where are we at? And as a broker, as a participant in this industry, what should we be cognizant of and what should we be mindful of as we move forward? I think everybody's in tune with the news. Today, we have got the provincial's mandate that we will start going live and some of the businesses will be back into business. But even though we're back to business, but definitely it's not going to be business as usual. So these are some of the things that we want to start talking about and see where we want to go from here. Now, I think the first thing that everyone on the call and on this presentation needs to realize is that we have in the past experienced various economic shocks from the very back early days of the oil crisis to the hyperinflation in the 1990s, and then back to SARS. For a lot of the brokers on the call today, they may not remember the oil crisis and the early 1990s, but definitely SARS, the financial stress of the 2008, 2009, and more notable right now, COVID-19 is top of mind. The thing I want to reinforce to you guys is that we have been there before. We always goes in these cyclical type of up and then down. That's how the economy is. That's how the whole world turns around. Now, what we've done is we are not the economists, but what we do, our whole team within the Cornerstone Analytics, is that we go into the market and look at what are the other knowledgeable, really industry leaders, all the leaders in terms of the research. So we look to guys like CIBC, we look to BMOs, we look to RBC, CMHC, and what CIBC have done is that they've taken a lot of stats scan and say, okay, within the entire labor market, what is happening is that after COVID-19, after emergency measures was instituted, we had a wake-up call to realign and redefine what is essential in our lives. Previously, we thought the things that were important equals to essential. That is not the case. A lot of things that we thought were important were actually not essential. Here, what CIBC have done is to map out all the things that we see in terms of the entire workforce, 100%, and also correspondingly, how much wages do they earn in each of those categories? What am I talking about? Essential workers, minimal impact. Those type of industries, they, to what extent, account for the average wages. The thing I want to point out is that a lot of us on the call today are realtors, brokers, and then we are somewhat impacted. We have been, to a certain degree, inconvenienced. Now, what CIBC have identified is that the category that is somewhat impacted, comprising of a lot of the larger corporations, senior and middle management, okay, a lot of administration roles, these are impacted, but please take note, they earn 30% above the average wages. So what it says is that they are close to half of the entire workforce, okay, post 30% above of the wage scale, okay? That's interesting. Now, where we stand as brokers, we're in the notable impact because face it, guys, we have been impacted. We cannot do open house. We have to rework the way we do our business. And there's a lot more listings that's being withheld because a lot of sellers don't feel comfortable in listing the homes right now in this current market. So it's a lot more challenge. But we, on an average, we pull 10% above the average wages. Okay. Now this is a combination of both construction, manufacturing, wholesale distribution, textiles, and then so it is a fairly broad base of industries. What I want to show and really point our attention to is in the vulnerable and highly vulnerable. This is the category where there is a lot of publicity, a lot of interest, a lot of eyeballs are on this. And more notably is that they actually earn 30% below the average wages. I think everybody could attest to that after the COVID-19, our realignment of what is essential. So some of the people who are working on the frontline health service, such as our personal service workers, PSWs, and we really see how this whole engine is sort of like, it's not really in check because some of the people who are in essential work, they're not getting really remunerated for the efforts that they put in. So after COVID-19, I think there will be a reordering of this. But more importantly is that as brokers, as investors, as patrons of the real estate market, let's look at who are these vulnerable and highly vulnerable. And the question to ask yourself is that to what degree do they rent or own properties? Unfortunately, a large proportion of this segment may be in the rental market. A lot of these may be working, amassing enough equity to pay for their first homes. And then so definitely there is going to be some turbulence as we get out of COVID-19 because these are highly vulnerable. And keep this thought, because in my subsequent slides, we'll also come back and to always talk about the vulnerable and highly vulnerable. Okay. Now, when Scotiabank look at the April employment changes, what we have identified in the red box is that some of the industries that are hardest hit, this is national. Okay. Again, it's sort of replicating the same idea that CIBC have brought up, is that the friends and folks who are in the retail, in the hotel, in the construction, okay, manufacturing. Now, bear in mind, the question is not who were hit, okay? Everybody was inconvenienced. The major question is that starting next week, as the construction is able to get back on track, manufacturing to a degree is able to get back on track. Some of the social services, other retailing, okay, with street entrances are able to get back on track. Some of them are still not able to. The question to ask yourself and your buyers, your clients should be asking is that to what degree each of these respective sectors, how fast can they get back on track and how fast can they get back to 100% efficiency? That is what is important. Okay. Now, when we look at Toronto, the city of Toronto, we also see similar situations. RBC reports that within the city of Toronto, there are specific categories that is also what we identify as severely impacted. And then basically different banks, different economists, strangely, are looking and saying the same thing. And this is rare because the economists always have different opinions. But let's look at CIBC, how they look at the national. Because why is it important? Is that when, and the field that Cornerstone is in pre-construction, we are the specialists in taking a project from inception to the very end to delivery. And we help our builder clients to envision what's going on. So we're always forward thinking. We're always looking and say, where will the market be? Not today, but 3, 4, 5 years down the road. What will be the need? How do we help our builder clients create the best solution so that they could really do a project that stands the test of time? So what we looked at here, CIBC, is that looking across the nation, all the various provinces, to which and to what degree is each of the province really reliant on the highly vulnerable sectors? Because what I think may happen, and you could have different opinions, is that as some of these provinces are struggling to really get back to 100% efficiency and productivity, some of these participants in each of these provinces may look for greener pastures elsewhere. Okay, why is this important? Because when we looked at the immigration as a component of the overall provincial population growth, I think there is going to be something very interesting. I think there will be some people from other provinces that are very hard hit. Who are they? And I don't want to single out any particular province, but definitely my friends in Alberta will be hit because they have been very, very reliant on natural resource. And look at the price of the natural resource. So definitely there will be some players within that province that I think, do I have any transferable skills? Do I have any skills that I could re-leverage and pivot to another industry? I need to start and redo and prepare myself for another career. Okay. So if I am in the oil and gas and I'm doing pipeline designs, I have the same analytical in terms of the architectural technical skill sets. But if I am only applying against the oil and gas industry, that may be a failing industry, or it may not give me enough for me to go on for my whole family. So I may want to go elsewhere. That's why when we looked at all these things that COVID-19 have really brought on, we think in the coming years, there will be this, what we call intra-migration. And pay notice to that. Now, definitely COVID-19 is not all gloom and doom, because when BMO, Bank of Montreal, look at what had happened in COVID-19 and what are the opportunities. Let's not look at the glasses being just half empty. Let's look at it as being half full. What are the things that we can identify that are the feel good, that is really up and coming? What are the industries? And this is just a sample, because there are many more industries that are being catapulted to the forefront because of COVID-19. Okay, the first thing is remote working, telecommuting, and that is I don't want to say it's only Zoom, because there are many platforms, okay, that is offering virtual conference solutions. And it's also offering, and I see a lot of brokers also embracing this type of technology, where instead of seeing clients at a coffee shop, at the Tim Hortons, at a country style, at a Starbucks, now you're Zooming, or now you're doing FaceTime, or now you're doing other type of communication. We call it the platform virtual communication. And this is all enabled because of the technology that we have. It's all enabled because of the infrastructure of the internet, how fast our bandwidth is, how reliable it is. So this is very good and it's very exciting. Another thing that we know is that supply chain. I think this is a topic that have just started circling in the news. But what we're talking about is that ever since the emergency measures was instituted, there were three letters that really came top of mind. What are these three letters? PPE, personal protection equipment. That was at the forefront because everybody was screaming and saying, I want PPE. And they all wanted it. And what the COVID-19 really brought to light was that in the world of globalization, in the environment where we try to find the lowest cost producers and we just rely on them and only them alone, that didn't work. It really, with the COVID-19, it really brought to the awareness of everybody, say, we really need to re-examine how we're doing our logistics. And also what some of you may have heard is the last mile logistics. Is the transshipment. Is that where do you warehouse stuff right before delivery to the end client, the end consumers? That's called the last mile logistics. And then we will see that there's going to be a huge, huge change in the underlying fundamentals as to how reliant we were on, let's pick the Chinese, how reliant we were on getting stuff from China. Maybe some of the more critical strategic equipment may need to be augmented by local manufacturers. So those are just one thing. But definitely the supply chain, the entire dynamics have been put upside down and reworked and remodeled as a result of that. That is great news because now it's bringing on new opportunities for the guys who are doing commercial. If any of you guys on this call is doing commercial as part of your specialization, there is a wealth of opportunities that it will be opening up because of COVID-19. And also, I mentioned that before, it's the residential guys. Remember the days that you have to show your clients and drive them all over a place just to see this listing, that listing, that listing? How much time do you spend on going around? Imagine now. I just on a call with some brokers saying, hey, they're actually doing showings, but they're doing a lot of showings remotely, virtually, before they actually take a client into a physical house. Because everybody wants and understands because of public health, but from the public health, it springboarded into greater efficiency. Now they realize that I could go into a virtual meeting, showcase 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different properties with my clients, and then narrow down to only 1 or 2 maximum, and then we book a showing. We also realized that with the virtual walkthroughs, they could really get a sense. And with the platforms that's available, I could show my clients all the nearby neighborhood amenities, all the bus routes, everything virtually. It's a lot more efficient. And then so now brokers are also embracing this and welcoming this as a new platform. Now, let's not forget that through all these weeks that we have been cooped up inside our house, we actually saw this as a great opportunity to pick up new skills. E-learning, the entire solutions, database, platforms of learning new things have really come to the forefront. I hope and I trust that a lot of the brokers on the call today have really learned a lot of the new skills to say, I may not have been that tech savvy, and I'm not asking you guys to be all geeked out about everything, but definitely this was a wake-up call. It's a great opportunity for us to learn. Like for me, for myself, I didn't even know about this virtual meeting platforms. And now I'm embracing it because what we've found within our team is that whereas before we had to drive and meet after hours at the sales office, we can be meeting at various hours and we could get the entire team to really jump in on a particular opportunity, jump in on the discussion. So now us as owners, we're able to harness and let the whole team participate. And there's this collaborative environment that we find really engaging, really exciting. Again, I'm an old dog that's learning new tricks as well. Let's not forget about the real-time big data. Remember, we are fixated to all the announcements, 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock, all these various announcements and say how many cases of COVID-19 did we get within today, how many was resolved, how many deaths, all these numbers. These are real-time big data. And we're so used to it. But in the background, there are all these data solutions provider that really jump on bandwagon that are able to provide us in real time a lot of the metrics. So now we are very, very accustomed to having a lot of information and try to make sense out of it. All in all, let's not forget the artificial intelligence. We have talked about artificial intelligence a lot of times, and it's not only artificial intelligence in respect to autonomous driving. That's just one aspect. AI is being applied in the field of frontline triage medicine. It's applied in all different aspects of our lives. And then so we find that COVID-19, the opportunities is that it really have put Toronto really up in the limelight. Because why? Because when you look at all these 6 pillars that BMO have identified, what is the commonality? Technology. What's the commonality? We're talking about communications, infrastructures. We're talking about AI. We're talking about all these things as a tech hub. And those are all the things that we've been talking about that makes Toronto great. Okay, so those are the things that we get excited about. Those are things that we say, okay, even though COVID-19, it is a tragedy, it was sad, and definitely, close relations of ours was fallen ill to COVID-19. And then so there's tragedy, there's pain. And I'm not belittling what we have gone through as a society, but I am pointing out that despite all the pain and all the suffering, there is something positive and get out from the other end. So let's start talking about the recovery. Now, as we're into the road to recovery, there is a question that a lot of people are asking and say, will pre-construction pricing go down as a result of COVID-19? You may have been asking that yourself, or your buyers have been asking yourself. Let's not forget, for every developer, they are profit driven. Okay, they're here to make money. They're businessmen and women, same as you and I. And then, so what is important is to understand the way the business is. The couple of three things that's different. The first thing is that when you're in property development, you have a much longer time frame. Your perspective is much longer. And why do I make a point of that? Is it because when we are in the transactional real estate, we facilitate a deal or purchase that is usually closing in 30, 60 days. It is fairly short. It's very temporal. Okay. In pre-construction, we take a much longer view. Okay. Maybe 2, 3 years down the road. But as a developer, you have to have the mindset way before that. So your horizon for a project of commitment is about 5 years minimum. From the day that you acquire a site and you start vision as to what you want to do and start talking to guys like us, Cornerstone, and say, what should I do with my site? What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And you go through all the planning and go through sales and construction. That takes 5 years. So now imagine in their perspective, when you add 2, 3 more months in terms of the entire delivery cycle, it doesn't make a big difference. So that extension of a couple of months will not put them behind the 8 ball and say, I have to sell, sell, sell and lose money if it needs to be. It won't do that. What is really important is to understand what is happening to underlying costs of the construction. Because we have all heard it, is that construction costs for the last many years that we could count on our fingers, is that costs have been going up. And then so now, because of COVID-19, in the short term, where is cost going? We definitely understand that by next week, their costs and the construction sites will be back on stream. So there was an interruption. Let's not pretend there's no interruption. There was interruption, and there may be, in terms of getting the trades back on board, some of the laborers may have hung around, some of them may not have hung around. So there will be a little bit of interruption to get the crew back on track. Okay. There may be a little bit of delays in terms of some of the scheduled projects for PDIs and interim occupancy, but all in all, we're looking about the 10 weeks delay. It's not a lot. Okay. They have to remobilize. So it may be a little, but overall scheme of a 36 months build up construction, couple months is not going to break it. But what is important and what we've seen is that there are a lot of construction companies right now for the last couple of weeks that they were refusing or very reluctant to really put in the bids because they just really don't know what is required when they go back into full production, what is required of the job sites. Okay. So in the short term, we don't see construction costs going down. It would actually go up, if anything. Okay. But on the short term, it won't really affect pricing. They're looking at the medium term. If you ask the question, in the medium term, will prices soften or maintain firm? It really depends on the pipeline of the projects, whether they will materialize or they will disappear. Okay. Now, let's not forget that after any recessionary periods, the government always goes into public spending. They build roads, they build infrastructures, they build light rapid rail, they do public infrastructure because that is the easiest way to really get into getting the spending going and to really have an economic boost to the entire system. That's what they do. Okay. So now in the medium term, we see that because of those public spending works, construction wise will not falter all that much. The real crux is that in the long term, what will happen in construction costs? Will it go up or will it go down or stay flat? Well, it never stays flat because of inflation. It always goes up. And that has been a trend that we've been observing. But what will it take for construction costs to go down? Well, let me paint a picture to you. The COVID-19, what we're experiencing right now is much different than 2008, 2009. The 2008, 2009, it was a financial collapse because of the subprime mortgages. It was a valuation that was unfounded. Okay, that's what we were facing. It was hyperinflated. It was a lot of, let's call the word what it is. It's a lot of bullshit valuation, and that is the essence of the subprime. But we're in a different scenario. What we're in COVID-19, it was a health induced. It was a government mandated stoppage, freeze, hold, time out on everything, just so that we could preserve public health. It's different. It was mandated by government, say everybody stop moving, stop interacting, keeping a social distance, and just stop so that we could assess the situation and let this virus sort of die out and play out. That was what the government wanted. That's what kind of health, that's what everybody was talking about. Not only us, but across all the other countries. And we've seen it, okay? So it was different than 2008, 2009. Now, if an odd case that we get in a situation where the banks, liquidity, banks, everybody starts shutting off the tap. So to speak, there is no liquidity. If that happens, then there will be serious consequence. But let's not forget, what did the government do? Right at the very onset in March, what did they do? They instituted a very aggressive, proactive buyback of mortgage-backed securities. What they were doing is injecting liquidity into the marketplace, because they realized and they learned from 2008, 2009 is that liquidity is the very, very fundamental grease that is ordering the engine, keeping the engine going. And if they take that out, it would be catastrophic. So they inject that as the first move. And so what we find right now is that there's no cause and there's no indication that we will slip into what we've experienced in 2008, 2009. We don't have those metrics. We don't have those phenomena. We will get out of this. And so in the long term, we don't see construction costs going down. Okay. We don't see massive collapses of projects. We don't see massive cancellations. We don't see massive bankruptcies. Okay. We don't see that at all. In fact, right now, today, yesterday, it was announced that we're into stage 1, which is great, because what is really, really important is that we get to stage 2.5. It's the transition between stage 2 and 3. I think next week when things open up, it is just testing the water. I think every one of us, if we were to call our clients next week and say, hey, do you think everything's better? They may not. It is a very baby step type of approach, but we're good. We're on the path of recovery. When we get to stage 2 and 3, then it really reinforces that we are able to get out of this in a very good manner. Now, BMO have looked at a lot of industries, and they have identified by the year end, some of the industries will be able to get back to 100% productivity, okay, as if nothing have happened. But there are some industries that are blown up on the right-hand side here in the red that they have identified and say, these industries will be challenged. These industries will find a little bit tougher by the year end till we get back to full capacity. The question for us in today's session is to say, to what degree is Toronto, GTA, exposed in terms of these industries? That is the key thing. I think us as brokers, what we need to do is to really understand, because what we need to do is to give our buyers, our clients, the real facts and say, yes, there's a lot of attention to the unemployment, but then we'll get right out of it. But there are some industries that are going to take a lot more time to recover. That is what is important. I think that is the thing that we need to be mindful of. Okay. Now, why is that important? Because in the new normal, okay, it will be challenge towards some industries. When McKinsey & Company, one of the management consulting companies that is very well known, when they looked at the COVID-19, they identified 2 metrics, 2 parameters that makes a big difference. Is that the intensity of the physical distancing and the duration of that, okay? We are actually not in the black. We're more so in this quadrant here. because our social separation, our emergency, our separation of distancing, we weren't in lockdown for a long time. And even when we're in lockdown, it was only partial lockdown. It was not a complete moratorium. Okay, so it is not as severe. So we definitely were able to do online banking and did a lot of stuff, and we were able to buy groceries, and we were able to do a lot of things that really sustain the essential elements in our lives. Now, a lot of people have been talking about four different letters: the L, V, not LV, and the UW. Now, what it means is that right now we are in this portion of the curve. We're going down. We're in a roller coaster going down. So by all metrics, you look at unemployment, you look at amount of debt, national debt, provincial debt, everything looks really scary, and rightfully so. But don't only be fixated on those temporal things. Look at what is around the corner, is that we will get out of this. Now, some people think that we will never get out, we'll be on the L. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think our economy pre-COVID-19 was so strong. Let's think for it. Let's not forget where we were at. At the end of 2019, we were all in euphoria. It was a very good year. Okay, close to 27,000 transactions just in pre-construction alone. Okay, and the average price of condominiums that were sold, it was an increase of 15%. So we were good on all metrics. Sliding into 2020, the first couple of months, let's not forget, what have we done? You guys have sold in 55 Mercer. You guys have done Untitled. There were projects launched that was very well received. So let's not forget where we were. Now, we did come down this slide. We did have massive unemployment. Now, will it go back up to V? Okay, in the minds of Donald Trump, it may happen. Okay, but most rational people say we're probably not that. What we're looking at in terms of what the provincial government have laid out is that we're on this U, a very, very ginger, slowly type of application of recovery. And that makes sense. That makes sense. Now, as long as we stay vigilant in terms of our public health and all the social distancing measures that we need to comply with, we will not dip back down into W. Okay, let's stay focused. Okay, so some people say that this is a U, some people say this is the Nike swoosh, whatever you call it. We think that there will be a recovery. Okay, and why is that important? Because when we are dealing pre-construction, okay, I'm not talking about the immediate today, tomorrow. I'm talking about in the long-term trend of the real estate, what is needed, what is mandated. And for any of our clients who are buying pre-construction, buying real estate, is that they're looking for much of a longer term as to what will be happening, because you always fixate into the medium to long term. That's how you generate wealth. It's not day trading. It is not stocks trying to buy in and get out the next day. Now, when TD look at this, something very interesting. You notice this recovery curve. This actually happens on two slopes. So imagine we're going up this hill. We're still having higher and higher unemployment. Then we dip back down. And then the unemployment rate, as measured on the right-hand side, it will decrease. This portion of the curve will be at one slope. It's much steeper. We will recover much faster. Then it will slow down. There are two curves. One is a very, very fast correction, and then there will be some that will take longer. What is actually happening here? These are what we call the fundamental shifts in our economy. These are some of the changes as a result of COVID-19 that we will never turn back the hands of time. Okay, there are some industries. I'm not saying that there are no casualties, but when we collectively in Toronto, that's very much on the technology, very much on the front line of what really drive all the new industries that is sprouting out, all the new opportunities that I've talked about before. That is all enabled by tech, communications, infrastructures. Those are things that makes it easier to pivot around. Okay, we're not the traditional manufacturing type of industry. So as a result, I think we'll pivot a lot faster. This is something similar the RBC have observed when they benchmark against the Bank of Canada as to what the trend line on the as if we never had COVID-19, let's call it $2.1 trillion in terms of GDP. Because of this, we took a hit. But as we get out of it, the thing to remember is that now, when we're in Q2 of 2021, we're talking about a year from now, 4 quarters from now, where will we be at? Some of the optimistic people will say we're very close to where we were before. If you're very pessimistic, we say we're still down. But when you look at the entire segmentation and the composition of where Toronto stands and what we excel in, we're not really exposed in the vulnerable industries. Yes, tourism does make a component of it. Yes, MICE, meetings, conventions, exhibitions, does make a component of our entire GDP. It does bring a lot of business to Toronto. But that is not the only factor. We have a multi-pronged approach to our growth. So that's where we excel, because we could pivot and change. So I personally think that we're more on the upper edge of this gray area. So we could definitely pivot and get past this a lot faster. Okay. So what does it really mean for you guys as brokers on the call today is that you need to learn. We need to educate ourselves. I think definitely with the COVID-19, it have brought a lot of opportunities. A lot of our clients that really didn't get online, we have no choice but to go online because we can't go anywhere. So as a result, embrace this opportunity, because now you know that every one of your clients are very much in tune with online now. They're consuming. They want more information. They want to make sense out of it. That's why some of the things that we talked about today, you could share with your clients to say, hey guys, hold their hands and say, it's okay. We get out of this and it will be a better world tomorrow, because we will come out of COVID-19 much stronger, smarter, and wiser. And when you look at the underlying economics of where Toronto stands, where Toronto excels, is that we're poised for that type of growth. You need to understand the who, what, and why of your personal business. Now, a lot of you guys are realtors, so it's very important. Okay, so let's look at that. Now, always remember the dynamics of the demand. Demand is very important. Okay, now I want to focus a little bit more. Remember, real estate is a long-term play. Real estate, through the past history, have demonstrated to be very, very robust and resilient to a lot of economic shocks. And when you're in the long game, you are doing something really good. Okay, now immigration mandates. We're still trying to get the numbers. We don't exactly know, but what's important is that we see that on a post-COVID-19, there will be some short-term adjustments, and definitely the demand is still very much, it's very strong. It's still very strong, still very robust. We see that happening. Right now, during this transition, there is a little bit easing of the pressure on the rental markets, and that will all self-correct as we get back on track. We're talking about maybe 3 to 4 quarters. We'll get exactly right back where we were. I think that is a very good. But one of the key things I want to share with you, and I'm not here to incite fear in you, but is that with the massive, we're talking about $300 to $400 billion in bailout. We have a massive debt. The good thing is that we're in a very low interest rate type of scenario. So our percentage of our debt is not that high, but nonetheless, there's debt. What happens to government is that when they have massive debt, is that they have to cut on the social spending, increase on taxation. That is a must. That is a given. Okay. So as a result, there will be more people going into rental. So as investors, that is all good stories. At the end, thank you very much. Let's stay calm and keep on selling. Okay. Hamid?
Thanks, Johnson. I will now introduce one of your team member, Rachel Galway from Cornerstone, to talk about few projects that Cornerstone has to offer us. Rachel, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Okay, so We are connected, so thank you everyone who's joining today. Now that Johnson's kind of provided kind of a background on sort of our projection on the market, we definitely wanted to talk about some of the projects we are currently actively selling. The ones I want to touch on very briefly are just with one of our valued developer clients, Mancase. So it's very important to kind of give a brief background on the developer Mancase, especially with all the information and insight that Johnson's provided. You know, Mancase has been in the business of building both residential developments for almost 70 years now. So when you think about what type of concerns there might be in regards to coming to fruition, when you think about Mancase in almost 70 years, and every project that they've come to market with, they have delivered on and delivered beautiful quality projects. You know that through those almost 70 years, there's been so many economic ups and downs, so many external factors that have affected the market. Yet Mancase has not only survived through that period, they've thrived to now become one of Canada's largest and most trusted developers. So I think that's very important for all the real estate professionals, for all the people interested in getting into the market and have concerns about, well, will this project delivered? That's not a concern when it comes to Mancase. And because Mancase has been developing across the GTA for so many decades, we always have quite a few wonderful projects to offer. One of them right now being the Crown Penthouse Collection at our down waterfront project, which is Sugar Wharf. This project is on schedule for a mid-2022 target completion. And this project, located near Yonge and Queens Quay, is a landmark development with future path connection, 2.5-acre Wi-Fi park. The phase 2 will have the first vertically integrated elementary school in Ontario. And again, because Mancase has delivered on path connectivity, which is the underground system connecting you through Toronto's various subway stations with several retailers, shops, services stretching over 30 kilometers long. You know, Mancase has delivered that many times in North York and downtown. So this is something they will deliver on. And we are so excited to be selling some of the new Crown penthouses, as well as some new low floor suites, priced from the low 700s. Of course, we are awaiting a new block release for our Etobicoke development of urban stacked townhomes, which will be priced from the 700,000s. But the project that right now I think is very important to talk about is our project downtown near the Eaton Centre called Indy. Very brief background, it's located near the southeast corner of Dundas and Jarvis in what has really become known as the Innovation District. The reason why we want to talk about innovation is Johnson talked time and time again about technology, and Mancase years ago that technology was going to be the future. And sure enough, now we look at Toronto and it's outpaced in regards to year-over-year growth, places like Seattle and New York for tech employment growth. We are now one of the forefront cities in the country, in the world, for tech. So of course, Mancase knew with that in mind, they really designed Indy, a 25-story tower, really cater to those tech professionals who might be working in the science, technology, engineering, and math. And you have all the key ingredients. I call it the pillars of a great investment. Proximity to transit. You can see that you are 2 blocks away from Dundas Square, which is the Line 1 subway connection. You've got that beautiful Dundas streetcar, which is going to bring you all the way west and all the way east. Education-wise, you are a 5 to 15-minute walk radius to 4 major post-secondary schools, University of Toronto, George Brown College, and then within a 2 to 5-minute walk radius, you have the Ryerson Digital Media Zone, which is the #1 rated university-funded tech incubator in the entire world. So you have some of the world's leading tech minds, within such a short walk radius. And then in regards to employment, let me tell you, you've got the financial district within that 10-minute walk, which is where you have all the major financial institutions. You also have the 7 major law firms located near there. And you're also seeing, again, within that sort of innovation district hub, east of Yonge, you're starting to see a lot of smaller tech companies migrating to this area, east of Yonge, because you're looking at less expansive commercial buildings. A smaller tech company may not be looking at leasing out multiple floors TD building. And some of these newer, smaller commercial buildings are more technologically equipped for some of the modern needs that these tech companies really need. So you've got employment, you're right in the core of major employment districts, including, of course, the hospitals nearby and those working in medical science. You are within a 5 to 10 minute walk radius to 4 post-secondary schools. And then you also have the Line 1 within a 2-minute walk. So that connects you through the subway. And right now, just to close it off, just wanted to mention it's offering some amazing incentives. With construction well underway, you can definitely see that they're above ground right now with construction. It is on track for late 2021. Menkes is offering an amazing new deposit structure with only 10% down before occupancy. And many of our units, 1 bedroom plus den and larger, the majority of them are coming with free parking. All of our units come with 1 free storage. I just wanted to outline the deposit structure for those clients who are really looking to get into a great development, trusted developer, great return on their investment, and are waiting for that deal. We already know construction costs are going to keep going up. We already know that prices are not going to drop. But what Menkes is doing is offering some very attractive incentives to make buying a lot more accessible, such as these units. I wanted to showcase a few of them. Beautiful designs, space closed off dens, floor to ceiling windows. These are gorgeous designs, and you're looking at most of them coming free parking, all of them coming with a free storage. And when you actually break down the numbers, you're looking at anywhere from $950 to $1,200 a square foot. New build project that you're still looking at a year and a half before completion, and from one of the country's most established developers, to be buying at that price point within 2 blocks to the Eaton Center is unbelievable. And you also have that % confidence that this project is going to be delivered. It's going to be delivered on schedule, and it's going to be a beautiful landmark development by, of course, a builder like Menkes. So hopefully, if there's anybody interested, there's definitely ways to connect with Cornerstone to learn more. Now I will pass the torch on to my colleague. There we go. My colleague Carol now is going to be talking about another project by Menkes called Mobilio.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. Okay, so my name is Carol, and I'm one of the sales representatives that's overseeing Mobilio, along with my colleagues Rachel and Shervin. And today we're very excited to talk about the Mobilio community, which is a mixed community featuring condos and townhomes by Menkes and Quadrille in South Vaughan Metropolitan Center. So to give you a bit of a context on Vaughan Metropolitan Center, also known as VMC, this is a site that is 442 acres of development opportunities. And this site is at the intersections of Highway 400, Highway 407, and Highway 7. And what's really, really important to note here is that VMC is undergoing a massive transformation. It is going through an urban expansion that's going to change the way we look at Vaughan, change the landscape of Vaughan in the sense that it's going from more of a rural to urban city center. So a lot of developers are now, really breathing and seeing the vision of VMC. And there are current developments right now that are under construction, in the planning stages and under review. So south of Highway 7, we actually have Quadrille and Menkes, again, like Rachel had mentioned, are very reputable developers that are going to develop South VMC, so south of Highway 7, and building over 100 acres of development opportunities. And we have Mobilio, which is the very first development within this master plan community, which is extremely progressive and has been very well received. And in addition to that, VMC is strengthened by its transit-orientated systems. So within VMC, it unites the TTC, the GO Transit, and also regional transit systems, Zoom and Viva, allowing residents, visitors, and everyone within VMC to connect to the rest of the GTA. And to further elaborate on the transit systems, we have Mobilio, which is strategically located between not one, but two subway stations. We have the 407 subway, and we have the VMC subway, which forms the terminus of line 1. And there will be a future subway entrance to make it even more convenient to access the VMC subway. And the best part, Mobilio is within 5 minutes to VMC subway station. So this is a very rare opportunity to purchase within the Mobilio community and live 5 minutes from the subway and be on the subway line. And what's really great about living at Mobilio is that you are situated around some of the best post-secondary institutions that the province has to offer. So here we highlighted 3 of many, York University, University of Toronto, and Niagara University. And what these 3 post-secondary institutions have in common is that, number 1, they are highly notable, highly reputable. And then secondly, their ease of transit and connectivity from VMC subway station to these institutions. Because from York University, it will only take 7 minutes from VMC subway to the campus. And this is a huge upgrade because prior to this new subway extension, faculty, staff members, and registered students would have to commute using a bus from Downsview Station. So the commuting time actually got upgraded from 40 minutes to now only 7 minutes. Likewise, for the University of Toronto, to get from Vaughan to downtown Toronto or Vaughan to St. George campus, we're talking about a 45-minute subway ride. Okay, so you can avoid traffic, gridlock, all of that because of this new subway extension. And then when it comes to Niagara University, this is actually the first university in Vaughan with its main campus located in the United States. And this institution provides various education-related programs of study and is within walking distance from VMC subway station. In terms of employment, since VMC will be a leading destination to live, work, and play, it remains a hub for businesses to really thrive. And what we're seeing is that by 2031, over 11,000 new jobs will be created, of which 44% of them will be office related. And then within VMC, 1.5 million square footage of commercial office space. And what's wonderful about that is that a lot of the leading companies really believe in the VMC vision and have already secured Class A office space with a lot of room to grow. And the City of Vaughan has made it very easy to attract and retain these leading employers and companies because they actually offer some great financial programs and incentives to really allow these businesses to thrive and set their office and divisional operations within Vaughan. So here on the right, we show some of the companies that are currently within Vaughan, and this list is growing. And wherever there's employment opportunities, there's going to be a lot of room for job and career opportunities. And living at Mobilio means that you will have endless opportunities to get to regional attractions and institutions. So here we wanted to highlight just a few. We have Canada's Wonderland. There's Vaughan Mills Shopping Center. We have the very first smart hospital in Canada located in Vaughan. This is the Mackenzie Vaughan Hospital. York University, like I just mentioned. We have Pearson International Airport. This is a very, very short commute from VMC, only a 15-minute ride. And then we also have Yorkdale. In terms of the Mobilio community, this is a site plan of this development, and it features, again, condos, and we also have beautiful townhomes. And the current offering we have at the moment are the back-to-back 3-story townhomes, and these will feature 3-bedroom, 2.5-bath designs, extremely spacious, over 1,500 square feet, with 9-foot-high ceilings throughout, smart flooring throughout, and as part of the kitchen package, the stainless steel appliances will be included. In terms of outdoor space, there is a beautiful private balcony off of the master and also a rooftop terrace, okay, which you could use at the comfort and privacy of your own home. Since the Mobilio townhomes are within a context of a mixed community, the townhomes will have access, or townhome residents will have access to select condo amenities on site, such as the children's playroom, and the party room. And the minute that you step outside of the townhome, you will be surrounded by lush landscaping and beautiful green wide spaces, because what Menkes has done is they really tried to design a community that offers an opportunity for you or for residents to really engage and get to know one another. So families or children have an opportunity to use these promenades and courtyards, and you can see them play, see them socialize, and interact with one another from the comfort of your own home. Okay, this is a very rare opportunity. This is certainly not a subdivision that we find outside of the city and not a standalone development. And these beautiful townhomes are priced from the low 900s. We still have limited lots that are available. If you have any clients that are looking to secure a townhome, this is a great condo alternative and ideal for buyers who are looking for more space, looking to be in an urban city center with access to amenities and transit. And finally, just some of the incredible incentives that Mobilio has to offer right now. We are offering a free gas line barbecue hookup to really complement the private rooftop terrace, one free underground parking space. The development levies are capped at $12,000. And in terms of the deposit payments, it has now been extended 15% within 540 days. Prior to this, Menkes was offering a deposit structure of 15% within 1 year. So with this new extension, it gives buyers a more flexible, longer term to purchase and invest within the Mobilio community. So again, townhomes in the low 900s, we have limited lots, and the anticipated occupancy will be fall of 2022. So thank you again for listening, and I'll pass it on to the next speaker.
Okay. Hi, everyone. This is Andy. I'm from Cornerstone Marketing Realty, and today I will talk about this project is already under construction, and the tentative occupancy spring 2023. And for this project, it's truly a very special project that has a lot of different features that you won't find in a regular condominium, and also in terms of the finishes and materials that are used, it's definitely a higher level grade in terms of what they're using. Okay, so for this project, it is in a great location. It is in the center of the Markham City center, so it's just south of the Highway 7 and Warden Avenue. And in terms of transportation, we do have multiple options, including TDC buses, Viva buses running along Highway 7, and also GO train on the east. In terms of education, this school, one of the value proposition of the location is Unionville High School. So for this project, the resident, their kids can go to this Unionville High School, and it is ranked one of the top 20 high school in Ontario. So this is something that a lot of our purchaser bought here because of that. And in additional to that, there is existing Seneca College, as well as in the future, there will be York Markham, the York University Markham campus. And in terms of employment, Markham is known for the high-tech capital for the Ontario. As you can see, immediately the IBM software lab, and nearby there are over 1,000 high-tech and life science companies nearby. So in terms of employment, there is a lot of good company nearby. And in terms of the project itself, this is the site plan, and one of the unique feature about the project is you do have a lot of green space surrounding the building. So as you can see here, they have two city park on each side of the building, and in combined is around maybe 2 acres of green space. And in addition to that, you have rooftop terrace over here. Okay, so this project, there's 2 towers, and there's left here you have condominium town. Another special feature about this project is the lobby. So the lobby, you can see, is a very timeless design with double high ceiling. very classic. And what you're seeing in this rendering right now, that is the porte cochere. So it is a covered passenger drop-off and pickup area, which you would only find in a very luxurious condominium or hotel. So in terms of amenity space, we do have lots of options, including 24 hours fitness center and also indoor basketball court, party room, kids playroom. Okay. So for this project, we do have a lot of smart features. So for example, we have smart thermometers as well as on-demand heating and cooling system all year round. So for those who are moving into condominium from a detached home, they don't have to compromise one of the things that enjoy living in the detached home, where they can have total control of their temperature anytime they want. There's also parcel and grocery delivery locker, water sensor leakage detection, and also keyless entry. So for this project, I mentioned that we have its collection on the base of the building facing the park. So these are beautiful townhomes ranging from 1,300 square feet to 1,700 square feet. So this is one of the plan that we have, and it comes with stainless steel melee appliances. You do have that option to upgrade to a gas stove, or if you want preferred electric stove, you can have that as well. And we also recently, H&W released the penthouse collection. So these are very exclusive penthouses. There's only 4 of them on one level. Each penthouse take one of the corners, so you have an amazing view for the city. So for these penthouses, it's 10-foot smooth finish ceilings. They have melee appliances, gas stove. You have automatic blinds in the living area, pot lights. There's a lot of smart feature that pack into this unit. And for the master bedroom, you do have double vanity top with a smart mirror and also an alone bathtub and a digital bidet. And this is the living and dining area. And that's the executive master bedroom, which is huge. And you have double walk-in closet. In terms of deposit structure incentives, for these products, we do have a reduced deposit structure over here, which is 15% before occupancy and only 10% for the first year. And we have all these incentives as well. All the units come with 1 free parking and 1 free locker. And for the penthouses, you get 2 free. So, I will provide my information and my colleagues' information in the chat. If someone are interested in these units, you feel free to contact us. Thank you very much, and I will pass on to Anna.
Hi. Hi, everyone. I'm Anna, and I'm one of the sales representatives for K-Square Condos, which is a really exciting new development by Kingdom Developments. Kingdom Developments is a global developer with a
What we will do right now is that while we're working to get Anna back on, if I could have Johnson back on, I will start asking the questions. There are some questions that people are asking.
Hello?
Hi, Anna, can you hear us now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so continue. We were going to go to questions, but you may continue.
Oh, okay. No worries. Let me just start this again. Okay, so we are located in a very convenient location right at Kennedy Road and Highway 401. So K-Square really offers the ultimate in convenience and style at very affordable pricing. So this makes city living very attainable, whether it's for new buyers that are entering the marketplace or investors or downsizers that are looking for a spacious alternative to their existing homes. There's truly something for everybody at K-Square. So we have very great transit option in this area. The first one would be, of course, Highway 401. So we're very close to the 401. Takes a minute or less to hop onto the 401 West and East, which gives you access to the 404 and DVP within minutes. In addition to that, we have a bus stop right at our doorstep, which will bring you directly down to Kennedy Station within 20 minutes or less. And you also have very easy access from Shepherd to Don Mills Station. We also have Agincourt GO train station, which is a short drive away. It's about a 3-minute drive and a 15-minute walk. And that takes you down to Union Station within 25 minutes or less. So under half an hour, you can make it downtown. If you're going to school or working downtown, this is a really great alternative where you can live in a great community and not have to compromise commuting times that are really convenient. In addition to the existing transit options that we have, we also are anticipating the Eglinton Crosstown LRT, which is currently under construction, and the Line 4 subway extension, which is the Shepherd line that will be extended from Don Mills at Fairview Mall all the way to McCowan Road. So we're really excited about these new transit extensions that are coming up. And once the subway extension, the Line 4 extension is completed, we will have a stop right at Kennedy and Shepherd, which is going to be minutes from K Square condos. And as my colleague Rachel mentioned, there are 3 pillars of a really successful project, and we covered transit. I also want to talk about employment. So we are within a 10-minute radius to over 60,000 jobs and have access to the 4 major business districts in Scarborough. And this number is actually growing because companies like Amazon really see the growth potential in Scarborough, and they are bringing a new 1 million square foot fulfillment center to Scarborough, which will add an additional 600 full-time jobs. We're also in very close proximity to a lot of renowned educational institutions, such as University of Toronto Scarborough campus, Centennial College, and Seneca College, which are all really short distances away from K Square. And all of these institutions, they offer some really great international student programs. So as you can see, these schools have over 9,000 international students from 134 different countries at Centennial College. Seneca College has over 3,500 international students, and University of Toronto Scarborough campus actually has had a 71% increase in international students since 2014. So with all of these international programs that these schools offer, it really creates a significant rental demand for K Square and the Kennedy Central community. So we have 2 beautiful towers at K Square, 39 and 36 stories high, connected by an 8-story podium. And we have a beautiful grand lobby, which will offer some retail options at ground level. We also offer 24-hour security and 2 beautiful lounge areas, a fireplace lounge in the lobby, as well as another lounge over to the west side. And this is our 8th floor amenity level, which is over 15,000 square feet of amenity space, and that offers 24-hour access to the gym. We have 2 guest suites for friends and family, 2 music rehearsal rooms. We will have one of the largest libraries in any Toronto condominium with a working spaces and a sports bar as well. We also have another fireplace lounge up on the 8th floor. And if you wanted a more private, intimate partner or a meeting, or if you had some studying to do, we have private rooms. We also have a servery, which you can serve food and have a party. Our kids zone is over 1,000 square feet which has built-in activities to make sure that the kids are healthy and active. And each tower will be serviced by 3 high-speed elevators. To the south of the building, we will have the rooftop terrace, which is the outdoor space that you see here. And that will have barbecues, lots of seating areas, beautiful green landscaping, a nice playground, as well as an outdoor yoga and Tai Chi Zen area. And this is overlooking a half-acre park to the south of K Square. In addition to the beautiful amenities that we're offering, Kingdom actually now is giving a $30,000 upgrade package as a standard feature for all units of any size. And some of the upgrades that this will include will be smooth ceilings throughout, wide plank laminate flooring, quartz countertops, integrated appliances, undervalance lighting, frameless glass enclosure for the stand-up showers, floating vanities, and pot lights, just to name a few of the upgrades that we're including. And we also have a very special feature, which is the on-demand comfort system. And again, like my colleague Andy mentioned, this is not something that you typically see in condos. So this is a really great feature where you can control your own temperature throughout the year within your own unit. In addition to those upgrades, we also have some great incentives such as free parking, free lockers for the 2-bedroom and larger units. We're allowing lease during occupancy as well as free assignment. We have some great levy caps as well as meter connection caps, and construction has already started. Our occupancy is scheduled for fall of 2022, and we have extended the deposit structures for the 2 to 3 bedroom units. A very easy deposit structure, 20% within 2 years, only 10% within the first year. So this is a really great deposit structure that your clients can take advantage of. And in addition to the deposit structure, we also have a overseas offer, which this special offer is for a limited time only. It ends June 30th. And again, this is for your overseas buyers. You can also extend this offer to your any international that you're working with. And we are offering a 30% deposit rather than a 35% deposit. So you're saving 5% on your deposits. Again, we're allowing the 2 years, so very easy, doable deposit structure. And again, we're offering the same incentives: free parking, free assignment, lease on occupancy, levy caps, and meter caps. We have some really great units starting in the 700s per square foot. 2 bedrooms are starting in the low 800s per square foot. So there's really an amazing value here. Really close to many transit options, close to the city, and access to other parts of the city. So if you do want any further information, this is my contact information, and we will also provide our contact if you wanted to get a hold of us. Thank you. And I'll pass the time back to Ali.
Thanks, Anna. If I could have Johnson. Johnson, thanks for the great presentation. We have a few questions, and if you have any questions, please type it on the chat, and I will ask Johnson to answer. First question: I think lots of new technology will be implemented in new building to force social distancing. How do you see effect of this implementation of technology on cost?
Let's look at what is actually needed for social distancing. It's just keeping distance. So it doesn't really take new technologies. What it takes is actually allowing us to do work. There are 2 things that we need to do. And the same thing for the question is, the first thing is that there's a period from now until we get a vaccine. Okay, this is the interim. On the post-vaccine, this COVID-19 will be same as, and I don't want to trivialize it, as any other social, like a flu. Okay, and there's severity, and every year their lives lost because of flu. And then so what is in the interim right now for the next, from the time we get into stage 1, 2, and 3 until we get a trial test and proven third stage testing of a vaccine, all that good stuff, it's going to take 12 months, according to Bill Gates, minimum. So this whole duration, that's when we need to practice social distancing and be vigilant, because we just need to, two things needs to happen. The end goal is to get the vaccine. The second thing is that for our medication, in terms of how do we not cure, but manage the symptoms and the ill effects of COVID-19. Okay, those are two things that we need to do, because even with a vaccine, it's not 100%. You still, some people after the flu shot will still get the flu. Okay, so those are things that we need to sort of manage. What's really happening is that in the world of all the architectural science and all the spatial planning, is actually to look at materiality, look at automation, and so how do you, for example, there are lots of buildings and projects that are considering and thinking about contactless, touchless. In fact, one of the buildings, and many of you guys on the call today would know, Harbor Plaza have already implemented, that was a couple of years ago, that they have implemented contactless doors. Okay, so when you go through the doors, you don't need to press anything. It's all by motion sensors. Okay,
Yeah.
so now definitely there will be opportunities to incorporate these little minor nuance into the building structure. Okay, those are things that we're talking to our clients about, and definitely in terms of the Cornerstone Analytics and Research team, we have been extending a new line of our business, is that talking to developers who already have an existing project that is earmarked to launch, and they're going through what we call due diligence of market reception, is that we go through their program of amenities to see how post COVID-19 is ready. And then we've been having some discussions with some potential clients who say, hey, this is my project. This is what I want to do. Is it enough to bring to the market? Is it, like what Sam have asked, is it enough of a post COVID-19 ready? So we're going through those type of what we call an analysis and scrutiny for our clients.
Okay, great. Next question is, we've seen in the Calgary projects that left not finishing in the last couple of years, with interruption of supply chain ways and in unemployment and so on. How certain we can be on new projects?
Okay, actually, I'm not sure if some of you guys may know that 2008 and 2009, I actually have moved my family to Calgary. Okay, actually, the builder that hired me to go to Calgary went bankrupt, and so Ali, those are great questions. I was on the other end of the state where I was let go. The company owed me money, and I was left to fend for myself. And yes, you're correct. I have seen projects that were just left. People just walked away. But bear in mind, that's what I said before, is that during the 08, 09, for example, the company that I was with, I don't want to name names because that just brings back tears to my mind, is that we were making sales, but the construction lenders were saying, no, that's not good enough. I mean, so an example, I had to run and get an extra $10 million in sales within a week. Okay, so my team, we worked hard and we got a 10 mil. Next week, the financial lenders were saying, HSB is saying, no, that's not good enough. I want an 10. I want an 10. At the end, they basically went and said, okay, we just cannot lend anymore. There's no more money. We will not lend. The head office said there's a moratorium on lending, even though we given you the commitment, the term sheet, we're going to withdraw it because of the financial crisis that everybody is facing, is Lehman and the whole domino effect. So that is something that was very, very unique to the Calgary market. And there were projects. 8th Ave and 8th Street was one of the projects. So there were projects that were just left stranded. Now, what we do see happening here in Toronto, and part of the thing that you asked for, is that, well, what is preventing things that happening here in Toronto? Is that let's look at the players now. Now, I'm not saying that every developer is a good developer. I don't want to make that type of bold statement. I do want to challenge each and every one of you guys on listening to this, is to really examine, is that as a broker, if you are going to make business with a developer, you have a choice. You need to look and examine and say, is this developer worthy of your business, worthy of your support? I mean, that is paramount. And for your buyers, they also need to go in there with their eyes open and say, is this worthy? What has been the track record? What do they stand? What are the philosophies? What are the fundamental pillars of this company that makes me have that faith? If not, then go demonstrate, prove to me. Tell me about the history. Tell me about the team. Tell me about the best practice. Tell me all the things to convince me that you are worthy of my business. I think that's paramount. And again, Cornerstone, we don't work for everybody because we do. Shab and I, we go through this due diligence of understanding, making sure that we do bring good partners into the equation when we present projects over to you. I think that's the thing. Are there bad apples in the pie? Absolutely. Are there some missteps along the way? Yes. But then what we, remember what Rachel have said, Menkes, being in business over 65 years, they have proven time and time again that they build and deliver on the promises. Okay. And even some of the newer builders, we gone through a lot of discussions because again, in the game of real estate, it's a long-term play. For Shab and I, we much rather walk away from an opportunity than to put our name to a project and have it go sideways on us. And then that's how we look at it. And that's the way is that when you look at pre-construction, you're looking at things down the road, 3, 4, 5, 6 years. And then so you do need to ask those hard questions. I think it's better to ask it now rather than to be surprised later on. And then that's a great question.
That's correct. Last question is, lending institutions have allowed homeowners to defer their mortgage. Do you think this is the cause of the home prices being stable right now as less people have to sell and list?
No, I think the whole mortgage deferral. Now, first thing to understand is that the mortgage deferral, it is not free. It does cost interest. Okay, and a lot of people didn't understand. It's like, oh, I'm getting free money. I'm going to get the free. It is not free. You do have to pay interest on that deferral. Okay, either amortize it or re-lengthen it, but you end up paying anyways. Okay. The second thing is that was a measure because remember the charts that I've shown you is that we were on this steep climb of unemployment. This is what happens when the Health Canada, everybody is being ordered to stop, don't do anything. So there are livelihood that is put and say, what do? I have no money coming in. Okay, we're going to give you the emergency response benefits. We're going to give you this, we're going to give you that, but it's not coming yet. Remember in the second week and third week of March, it was frantic. Let's not forget, it was only 4, 5, 6 weeks ago that we were in this mayhem and saying, holy shit, what is going on? And then so now the mortgage deferral, that extension was actually meant for those who really need it. Okay. And the numbers were about over 400,000 really needed that extension. Yes, it was something that was necessary to help, but it wasn't a pricing thing. And for all those who are on the call today, the brokers, I am not saying that there are no deals around. Okay. Now, let me say for you an example. If I have a buyer that have bought the pre-construction, let's call it 3, 5, 5, 6, let's call it 4 years ago. Okay. What was the average price at that time? $700? Okay.
Roughly $650, $700.
You're talking about $680 to $700 around there. And then so now benchmarking against the current market valuation of well over $1,000 and all the new constructions that's been launched at $1,300, $1,400, $1,500 a square foot. Okay. And that is the pricing of the future value. So the current, let's call it $1,100, $1,200. Okay. Now I could easily, or not me, the buyer could easily sell it at $1,200 when they close on it, or they could say, I'm going to leave some money on the table and assign it out. So there are opportunities in what I call the gray areas for assignments. Okay. Now remember, if I am an investor for the long term, I would not assign it. Okay. I would not assign because of tax implications and everything. I would much rather close on it and maximize my return. But then there are some investors who say, okay, I'd rather just take my hit on my tax and then just assign it out. But because I made so much, so instead of making $400, $500 a square foot in profit, I'm okay to make $300 a profit. Just because they took a dip, it doesn't mean that as the builder, they're going to take the same dip. No. And these type of so-called deals are limited in numbers in terms of their ability to satisfy the entire supply demand it pales in comparison as to what's actually coming down on the developer side. So let's focus and identify that the gray market, the assignment market is a different market in itself. It is third party people that have positions in it and say, I would just not make as much and I will walk away from a deal, be satisfied with only making $200 or $300 a square foot, which is still good. So it's a win-win situation. Okay, but let's not use that, well, because the assignment market have, the deals there, then on the pre-construction, it should also replicate the same deals. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
That's great. On behalf of PICRA, Professional Iranian Canadian Real Estate Association, I would like to thank Johnson and Cornerstone Marketing Realty team for joining us. My name is Hamid Khorsanchian. I'm part of PICRA, and I'm a member of event. I'm a volunteer in the event department, and I would like to invite everybody to join our next seminar next week on Friday at the same time, which will be on the latest market update presented by Steve Tabrizi from RE/MAX Hallmark. Once again, Johnson and Cornerstone Marketing Realty, thanks for your time. And
thank you very much
for the presentation.
My team, it was a pleasure. And let's keep working closer together, okay?
For sure. Thanks, and have a great day.
Okay, thank you.
Everybody.